Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 7, Indra offends Brihaspati, text number 39. Suradvisha Shriyam Guptam Anushanasyapi Aushanasyapi Vidyaya Achidyatan Mahendraya Vaishnavya Vidya Vibhu Suradvisha Shriyam Guptam Oshanasyapi Vidyaya Achidyadan Mahendraya Vaishnavya Vidya Vibhu. Vaishnavya Vidya Vibhu. Suradrisham Shriyam Guptam Aushanasyapi Vidyaya Achidyajan Mahendraya Vaishnavya Vidya Vibhu. Suradvisham Shriyam Guptam Aushadhyatya Vidyaya Achidyadan Mahendraya Vaishnavya Vidya Vibhu. Suradvisham Shriyam Guptam Asoyasyapi Vidyaya Achidaya Mahendraya Vaishnavya Vidya Vibhu. Ladies, Visham Shriya Guptam Aushanasyapi Vidyaya Achidaya Mahendraya Vaishnavya Vidya Vibhu. Suradvisham, of the enemies of the demigods. Striyam, the opulence. Guptam, protected. Aushanasya, of Sukracharya. Api, although. Vidyaya, by the talents. Achidya, collecting. Adat, delivered. Mahaindraya, unto King Indra. Vaishnavya, of Lord Vishnu. Vidyaya, by a prayer. Vibhu, the most powerful Vishwarup. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The opulence of the demons, who are generally known as the enemies of the demigods, was protected by the talents and tactics of Sukracharya. But Vishwarup, who is the most powerful, composed a protective prayer known as the Narayan Kavacha. By this intelligent mantra, he took away the opulence of the demons and gave it to Mahendra, the king of heaven. Purport: the distinction between the demigods, devas, and demons, asuras, is that the demigods are all devotees of Lord Vishnu, whereas the demons are devotees of demigods, like Lord Shiva, Goddess Kali, and Goddess Durga. Sometimes the demons are also devotees of Lord Brahma. For example, Hiranyakashipu was a devotee of Lord Brahma, Ravana was a devotee of Lord Shiva, and Mahishasura was a devotee of the goddess Durga. The demigods are devotees of Lord Vishnu, Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Daiva, whereas the demons, asuras, tadviviparaya, are always against the Vishnu Bhaktas or Vaishnavas. To oppose the Vaishnavas, the demons become devotees of Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Kali, Durga, and so on. In the days of yore, many long years ago, there was animosity between the devas and the asuras. And the same spirit still continues. For the devotees of Lord Shiva and Goddess Durga are always envious of Vaishnavas, or devotees of Lord Vishnu. This strain between the devotees of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu has always existed. And the higher planetary systems, fights between the demons and the demigods continue for a long, long time. Herein, we see that Vishwarup made for the demigods a protective covering, saturated with the Vishnu mantra. Sometimes the Vishnu mantra is called Vishnu Dwara, and the Shiva mantra is called Shiva Dwara. We find in the Shastras that sometimes the Shiva Dwara and the Vishnu Dwara are employed in the fights between the demons and the demigods. The word Sura Dvisha, which in this verse means of the enemies of the demigods, also refers to the atheists. Srimad Bhagavatam elsewhere says that Lord Buddha appeared for the purpose of bewildering the demons or atheists. The Supreme Personality of Godhead always awards this benediction to the devotees. The Lord himself confirms this in the Bhagavad-Gita 9:31. Kundiya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashiti. O son of Kundi, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So the text again, I'll read the last verse and then the text. Vishwarup, who is the most liberal, spoke to King Indra, Sahasraksha, the secret hymn that protected Indra and conquered the military power of the demons. Suradvisham Shriya Guptam Aushanasyapi Vidya Achidyadan Mahendraya Vaishnavya Vidya Vibhu. The opulence of the demons, who are generally known as the enemies of the demigods, was protected by the talents and activities of Sukracharya. But Vishwarup, who is the most powerful, composed a protective prayer known as the Narayan Kavacha. By this intelligent mantra, he took away the opulence of the demons and gave it to Mahendra, the king of heaven. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shnivadi Paskadyade Satarane. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, the material world means a struggle for existence and competition between the different jivas, who is going to survive. And everyone feels difficulty because of that, namely because no one does survive. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj said, Matirana Krishna Parataksato va mito bipadyeta griha vratanam Adantago bir vishitam tamizram punak punascharivata charvanana. So matir means where we're going to put our consciousness. Everyone's in difficulty, so the question is what we're going to pay attention to, where we're going to put our energy to overcome this difficulty. But Matirna Krishna, those who are in the material world, generally, they don't put their energy in Vishnu, Krishna. But Paratos Matirna Krishna Parataksatova Mito Vipadyeta Grihavratana. Generally, people are trying to figure out how to solve their own problems, self-study. Or they take help from others. Generally speaking, people think if I can become a bigger animal, then I'll have a better chance to survive. Therefore it says, Swavidrahostra karar, samstuta purusha pashu, niyat karna patiyo pedo, jatu nama gadagraja. That men who are like hogs and dogs and camels and asses, they take shelter of the bigger hogs, dogs, camels, and asses. But they never take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who carries the club. If we are so unfortunate as to read the news, we'll find out how in America the different animals are competing with each other, and one animal is claiming he's stronger and bigger than the other one, and therefore all the other little animals should take shelter of them. But none of them is saying to take shelter of Vishnu. And sometimes people try a combination, a little parata or mito. Mito, I'll take shelter of my own intelligence, and I'll take shelter of other people's intelligence too. But what is it all centered around? Griha Ratana, the Bali concept of life. Most people will be surprised to find out that they're not the body. Prabhupada said it'll take people 500 years before they find that out. Although our bodies are constantly changing, and everyone can observe that, and we ourselves who are observing all these changes, we're not changing. Still, due to the illusory energy, we're convinced that I am changing. That with the end of this body, that is my end. And when people find out about that, then still they can't believe it. Just like in the spiritual world, people may know that Krishna is God, but they don't accept it. In the material world, we may know that we're not the body, but we don't accept it. We don't act according to it. And therefore, what is the alternative? One who's in the Bali concept of life, make the body strong so that no germ can enter and kill me. Howard Hughes had $15 billion, the wealthiest person in the world. And how did he utilize the money? He built himself a room that he lived in. And nothing could enter into the room. Even his food had to go through infrared light, a little slit in the door where his food would be passed, bombarded with infrared light to kill any germ that might enter and kill him. Unfortunately, once when no one was looking, one germ snuck in and killed him. Although he had $15 billion to protect himself, still he couldn't survive. Make the body strong like a fort, build exercise, take your vitamins, have your insurance, go to your psychiatrist, so that one can live in this fort forever. And when the body's strong and protected, then have a nice family. So the wife will cook good food, keep the body healthy. The children will grow up to become lawyers and doctors and give the income when we retire. We get free lawyer, we get free doctor. Have a nice family, live in a neighborhood where everyone keeps their grass green and cut. There are no burglars here. Live in a nice, strong country. Live in a society where everyone loves each other. All humanity should live in peace and harmony and goodwill, at least on Christmas Day, if people know what that means. So this Adandago Bira means I'm in the Bali concept of life and I simply extend it more and more for my protection, that I may live here forever. And what am I going to do here forever? Adandago Bira Vishitam Tamizram. Simply whatever urges are there for the senses, my business is to satisfy them. Now, people cannot wait to have their pizza delivered by motorcycle. Now they have drones that deliver it to you. You call up and within 5 minutes they have to come, or else you'll shoot the drone down. People cannot even tolerate 5 minutes of not having their senses gratified. But at Punak Punas Charvata Charvananam, it is simply chewing the chewed. The same eating, the same sleeping, the same sex, the same comfort, or the same security. Over and over again. But people think this time that I'll make such nice arrangements that I'm going to live here forever. And everyone is surprised when that doesn't happen. In spite of all the promises of science that you just give us another 100 billion and we'll use half of it to make sure all our enemies are killed. We'll build a better atomic weapon. And the other half will make sure that you're going to live here forever. Ite vidu swartakatim he Vishnu. People are not informed that they're not only they're spiritual beings, but the goal of life is to obtain Krishna consciousness. Only by becoming Krishna conscious can we actually be protected from death. People want to be deathless, and there is a solution, but they don't know the solution is to take shelter of Vishnu. Instead, Darashaya ye bahir artamanina. They take shelter of things completely insignificant. If we tell people to chant Hare Krishna, they don't have time. If you give them free tickets to go to their favorite football team's program, then immediately they'll drop everything they're doing, quit their job, and go to the football game. And yell at the top of their lungs, jump up and down in ecstasy if their football team wins. So this is their life and soul. They're focusing all their attention and giving all their love. I saw one movie about people's emotional reactions, and it was a football game, and the last minute they had to score a goal. And if they scored the goal, one team would win, and if they didn't score the goal, the other team would win. The man tried to kick the penalty ball into the net. The goalkeeper stopped him, and the team that was trying to get the penalty point lost the game. And 2 years later, they were filming the fans of the football team that lost and the football team that won. And the football team fans that lost couldn't even bear to look at the point being lost. They had such an emotional reaction. One of them almost had a heart attack on the screen. 2 years later, at one point, some insignificant game they couldn't bear. They were suffering so much due to disappointment. Something completely insignificant, still they take it so seriously. And what is the reason? Andaya tandira upigimanas te pisha tantra urudami vara. Because they're blind. We're all puffed up thinking we know something, but we don't even know that we're not the body. Therefore, our knowledge is zero or minus. We're actually thinking we're this body, which we're not, therefore it's minus. What to speak of if we had any knowledge of who we actually are? So not only we don't know who we are, we think ourselves to be something we're not, which means our knowledge is zero or minus, and we have no positive knowledge of who we actually are. Therefore, we're blind, and the people who are bigger animals than we are, they become our leaders, and we follow them, and the result is we simply become a bigger animal. We get the result, but it is not very auspicious. And we get into trouble. The people who are leading us are in trouble, and by following them, we're in trouble. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says, Naishamatis tavad urukramangrin sprishat yanarto bhagavanyan vartam mahiyasam pararuje vishekam niskinchananam navarinita yadvat. That instead of taking shelter of insignificant people trying to accomplish insignificant goals, we should take shelter of the devotees who are going back to the spiritual world, to live forever in full bliss with unlimited consciousness. And follow their instructions, and that way we'll actually make some progress. Not only will cure our problem of old age, disease, and death, but that's the only way of doing it, and we'll get something positive. Prahlad Maharaj also says, Bolasya neha sharanam pitaro nishingha nartasya chagadam udanvato majatauno taptasya tatrividam ihandra srestat tadvido tvanudridam tat upekshitana. Everyone is trying very sincerely to get ahead in the material world, to protect themselves and others, and give something positive to the world. But it is all up to Krishna what happens. The parents may try to protect their children. The boat may try to cross the ocean. The doctor may try to save the patient. But if Krishna doesn't want, they'll die. And even if Krishna wants that they live, they die anyhow. No one lives forever here. As I've told the story before, in that famous voyage of the Titanic, and even there is a controversy whether it was actually the Titanic or his twin sister what sunk to collect the insurance on it. Anyhow, somehow or another, there was a boat in the middle of the Atlantic, and we know it crashed into an iceberg. And in the boiler room was one person who was an engineer, and when the boiler exploded, all the oil from the engine flew all over him, and he was thrown into the ocean. And because he was thrown into the ocean, ordinarily everyone else who was thrown into the ocean died within a few minutes from the cold ice water. But luckily for him, he was covered with oil, and therefore he survived. 1 month later, he was in New York City, celebrating his survival. He got intoxicated. Unfortunately for him, it had rained, and there was 1 inch of water on the ground. He was walking along intoxicated. He slipped, hit his head on the curb in between the street and the road, and his nose fell into the 1 inch of water, and he drowned. So he thought he was protected, that by good fortune Krishna had saved him, but because he was destined to die, therefore he died. Just like that lady who was in Bali when the terrorists destroyed this disco, this bar. And she had left a few minutes before the bombs went off, and she survived. So to celebrate it, she and her friends went to Australia, to near Cairns, and there they were celebrating, and at night they decided to go swimming. So one alligator came and ate her in front of one sign said, "Beware the alligators." We may think somehow or another, by good fortune we may survive, but ultimately no one survives. Therefore, all our attempts, deha, patya, kalatradishu, atma sanyeshva satsupi, tesham pramato nidanam, pashanapi napashati. Deha, apatya, kalatradishu. We may take shelter of our wife, our children, our house, so many different things that they'll protect us, but they can't protect themselves. What to speak of protecting us? Therefore, in this material world, there are so many different living entities. Some of them are higher, some of them are lower, some of them are stronger, some of them are weaker. And here we find the demigods. They take shelter of Vishnu. And the demons, they take shelter of the other demigods. Kali, Durga, Lord Shiva. And what is the idea? That let me become powerful and let me kill the other side. That let my side become victorious by conquering the others. So that ultimately, I'll be the last person standing. When there's no one left in this world, everyone will agree with me. And therefore, it'll be a perfect society, completely in harmony with the Supreme. So sometimes we find the demigods are fighting against the demons, and this is going on since time immemorial. But the idea is not to please Vishnu, the idea is to please my senses, my demigod senses, to please my asuric senses, and therefore ultimately, as we find out, that although Indra is going to win this battle against Vritrasura that's coming up, in case anyone wants to make a bet on the battle, we can give you the outcome here, so you'll be sure you won't lose. Normally, we'd be rooting for the demigods. But in this instance, actually the demon, suppose the demon was a devotee, and the supposed demigod was acting as a demon. Because Vritrasura, he was taking shelter of Vishnu, simply to please Vishnu. He wanted to go back and serve Vishnu. And Indra, he took shelter of the demigod of Vishnu simply to serve his illusory senses. And therefore, actually, his motivation was material, while Vritrasura's motivation was completely spiritual. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj said, Naishamatis tavadarukramangrim. Don't take shelter of the demigods. Don't take shelter of anyone in this material world. Take shelter of Vishnu. When the sages were having a meeting to find out who is the greatest personality in this world, so Brigamuni was elected to go and find out. Briga went to his father's house on Brahmaloka, and Brahma came to greet him. Oh, my son, you've been away for so long. Mother Lakshmi, we're very happy to see you. And Bhrigu Muni completely ignored him. Get lost. So Brahma, he's the supreme person in the universe. No one disrespects him. But his son told him, more or less ignored him. So he became infuriated. Don't you know who I am? He was just about to curse Bhrigu Muni, but his great intelligence stopped him, and his intelligence acted like water over his infuriation, which was like fire, quenched it. Bhrigu Muni didn't wait around to find out what was next. He immediately went to Kailas to see his brother, Lord Shiva. He comes from a good family. Lord Shiva came to greet him. Oh, my brother, it's been such a long time. Let me embrace you. Bhrigu Muni said, stop, you dirty rascal. You're covered with ashes. You look like you just, didn't even bother bathing after you got up. You got all these snakes all around you. Don't touch me. Lord Shiva was insulted, took up his trident, and said, if you won't accept my embrace, we're here to catch this. Here's my offering to you. Parvati fell at Lord Shiva's feet, begged him, please don't kill him. He just had a bad day. She invoked the mode of goodness in Shiva's heart, and Bhrigu Muni didn't wait around. He immediately left, went to Shweta Dweep, where Lord Vishnu was lying on a couch being massaged by Lakshmi Devi, broke into the room where he was lying down, immediately went up to Lord Vishnu and kicked him into the chest. Whack! Lord Vishnu immediately got down from his bed, put Bhrigu Muni on the bed, sat down by his feet, started to massage his feet, and said, please forgive me. He said, I didn't know you came, otherwise I should have greeted you. Therefore I've offended you by not coming immediately and greeting you. Not only that, but your foot is like a lotus petal, on my chest is like a hard thunderbolt. Somehow or another, with your lotus-like foot, you've hit my hard thunderbolt-like chest, and therefore it may have been bruised. Please let me massage it so it can actually feel better. Now that you've touched me with the dust of your lotus feet, now I am assured that the goddess of fortune, who is generally Chanchava, very flickering, will now be pleased to stay here forever on my hard chest, because it's been purified by your lotus foot. So please stay here on my Vaikuntha planet and purify it, O great Brahman. So Bhrigu Muni was completely dumbfounded. He had committed the greatest offense against Lord Vishnu by kicking him in the chest, and instead of becoming angry, Lord Vishnu was massaging his foot, asking for forgiveness. He had offended Lord Brahma by his mind, by neglecting him, by Lord Shiva by his words, but he had actually offended Lord Vishnu with his foot, kicking him in the chest, superlative offense, and yet Lord Vishnu was not at all disturbed. Instead, he was afraid that Bhrigu Muni might have been disturbed. It was concluded, therefore, that Lord Vishnu is the greatest, is the supreme person within the universe, and therefore one should take shelter of him. If someone is angry even a little bit, then of course it means that they're under the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion. And therefore, how can they protect us from the material energy if they themselves are subjected to it? The greatness of a person is shown by their tolerance. When interviewed, Guru Kripa Prabhu was saying when he first came to India, he was assigned to go and make life members. So he was going to different offices. The first office he went to, they were joking with him, saying that actually Karna is the hero of the Bhagavad-Gita, and that actually Arjuna and Krishna aren't. Guru Kripa Prabhu started to present the logic and arguments that actually it's Arjuna and Krishna who are the heroes. But they wouldn't accept any of it. So Guru Kripa Prabhu started to become angry. And they said, just see, you're becoming angry. What kind of spiritual master do you have? He can't prevent you from becoming angry. So Guru Kripa Prabhu said, well, he said a year ago, if you would have told me those things, I would have punched you in the face. But now I'm simply tolerating. So they liked that and they all became life members. So tolerance is something we have to learn. If we do that, we can only become ultimately tolerant if we take shelter of Krishna. If we become absorbed in the spiritual energy, then in any circumstance, we'll actually remain equipoised. Guru napi vichalyate. In the Bhagavad-Gita, in the 8th chapter, 6th chapter, yatro paramate chitam nirudo yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashanatmani tushite. That stage of perfection is called trance or samadhi, when one's mind is completely restrained from all material mental activities by the practice of yoga. This is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in that self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, one thinks that there is no greater gain. Being so situated, one is not disturbed in spite of the greatest difficulty. This is indeed freedom from all material miseries arising from material experience or contact. If we are actually absorbed in Krishna consciousness, then we'll never be disturbed. As we'll find out, Vritrasura, he was completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, therefore he welcomed Indra's thunderbolt. On the other hand, Indra, after gaining the whole world, was always in anxiety, especially after killing a Brahmin. Everywhere he went, he was in anxiety, until sin personified began to follow him, and he had to hide in a lotus flower, the stem of a lotus flower, for millions of years. That was the result of his so-called victory. Our aim is to become absorbed in Krishna consciousness. When Srila Prabhupada came here to Vrindavan, I remember 1974 was the first time I came to India. And by the time I got here to Vrindavan, I was really sick, because first place we went to, actually we landed in Calcutta, and in Calcutta we went there to Mayapur, and at that time Mayapur was just a construction site. Even the Lotus building wasn't even constructed. There was no long building, only a construction site for the Lotus building. And therefore, there were around, I think, 100 temple presidents there, and they were all chiefs. There were no Indians. And no one knew how to cook, or no one wanted to cook, because it would be beneath their status. In any case, we all had to cook. We don't know how to cook in India, especially. As I wrote one time, they asked me to prepare fried peanuts. It was Ekadasi. So I had some idea how to prepare fried peanuts. I knew you had to get some sand and put the peanuts and roast them on the sand. So I said, where do I get the sand from? And they said, you dig it up behind the Lotus building. I said, well, what about all the rocks and other things? Don't worry about it. We'll get it out afterwards. So I cooked the peanuts on the dirt. I said, all right, now how do I get the dirt off? They said, you wash it off. I said, well, that's probably not going to work, because the dirt will stick to the peanuts. He said, try it, see what happens. So 3 hours later, I was still washing the peanuts off. And they say, well, it's time for the offering. So they took some of the peanuts anyhow. They offered them to Gaur Nitai, and they served them to the devotees, because there wasn't that much prasadam anyhow. So I asked the devotees afterwards, how were the peanuts? They said, well, we were hungry, so they tasted pretty good, but they were a little gritty. So that was the situation in Mayapur. In any case, the last day I couldn't take it anymore because I wasn't eating. So although they warned us, they said, don't buy anything on the outside. But I couldn't refrain myself, so I bought some sweets from the outside, and I think they were made out of parasites. In any case, I had a few more friends than I wanted. Made some friends in India. And by the time I got here to Vrindavan, I was quite sick. In any case, then later on that year, we were told that they were going to open the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan. I guess that would have been in Kartik. And they told us all to buy our tickets. I wasn't too anxious at that time to come back to India so quickly. But what we heard was, as you historically know, Guru Kripa Maharaj at that time was telling Prabhupada, no, it's almost ready, invite everyone to come. So Prabhupada invited the chief minister, the prime minister, dignitaries to come, invited all the temple presidents from around the world to come for the opening of the Krishna Balaram temple in October. Prabhupada came to visit and found out it was just a construction site. And Prabhupada became furious and started to, more or less, everywhere he looked, his eyes, his glance set the place on fire wherever he looked. Everyone became fearful. Prabhupada looked like Nrsimhadev. Devotees were hiding between pillars. And this went on for a couple of hours. Finally, Prabhupada went to his rooms, which were not completed, sat down. The devotees were fearful to approach him, but one devotee very timidly approached Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was perfectly calm and equipoised. The devotee was quite surprised. One minute Prabhupada was furious, the next minute he was completely equipoised. So Prabhupada explained, it's just like the ocean. On the bottom of the ocean, everything is very calm and still. Although on the top, on the surface of the ocean, there may be so many waves, there may be so many storms, there may be so many aquatic animals surfacing on the ocean, breaking the waves, but still, deep inside the ocean, everything is very calm and still. Because the pure devotee is completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, he lives in the spiritual world, and therefore he's not disturbed by what's going on in the external world. He may act as Krishna's instrument to help others become Krishna conscious, but within himself he's relishing the pleasure of enjoying Krishna within. Sparshe Vasakthatma Vindat Yatmini Yet Sukham Sabrahma Yoga Yuktatma Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. Sparsheva, such a devotee is not disturbed by the external energy, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure from within. In this way, the self-realized soul enjoys unlimited happiness because he concentrates on the Supreme. Therefore, Krishna says, Ma Suchaha, just give up all this anxiety, all this worrying about what's going to happen to our body. We already know what's going to happen to our body. We can tell everyone here exactly what's going to happen to them in the future. Because I'm not only an astrologer, but I know perfectly palmistry. So how many would like to know what their future is according to their palmistry? Raise your hands. Anyone like to know your future according to palmistry? Everyone knows their future. Anyhow, look at your palm. This is proof. You see this line here? It's called the lifeline. Everyone can look at their palm. And then in between, it starts between your index finger and the thumb, and it goes down, 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 down. And what happens? It stops. So that's your future. That's as far into the future as anyone can tell. So in the meantime, we have to focus our attention and give our love to Krishna, and that way our life will become perfect. don't take shelter of any lesser living entity, take shelter of Vishnu, and then everything will be all right. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.